Should we privatize marriage? Let's talk about it. The idea of marriage privatization has been picking up steam for a few years, and it makes strange bedfellows. There are old-school gay activists suspicious that state marriage is a way for politicians to socially engineer the family through the tax code. There are religious conservatives who are upset that a state institution seems to violate their sacred values. And don't forget the libertarians for whom privatize it is more a reflex than a product of reflection. But they all agree it would be a good idea to get the government out of the marriage business. Principle, it turns out, is pragmatic. First, let's untangle two meanings for one word that easily gets confused. When we say marriage, we might be referring to a commitment a couple enters into as a right or acknowledgement within a religious institution or community group, a private. Or B, a legal relationship that two people enter into which the state currently licenses, public. Now the question that follows are, does the government need to be involved in A? The near universal answer in the US is no. But does the government need to be involved as it is in B? Here's where the debate gets going. The government can and should get out of B, and everyone will be better for it. That is the meaning of marriage privatization. Some argue that marriage is something public. It has to do with the fate of children and families. It has to do with the specter of increased government involvement, a re-inflamed cultural war, and a curious concern about religious institutions creating their own marriage laws. First, let's consider the issue of children. 39.7% of all births are to unmarried women. Nearly 40% of heterosexual unmarried American households include children. 41% of first births by unmarried women are to cohabiting partners. So does the law leave provisions for the children of the unmarried? Of course. So while state marriage might add some special sauce to your tax bill or to your benefit package, family court and family codes aren't likely to go anywhere, whatever we do with marriage. This is not a sociological argument about whether children have statistically better life prospects when they are brought up by two married parents. Nor is it a question about gender, sexuality, and parental roles. It's simply a response to the idea that marriage is something public due to having children. True privatization would require more than just getting the government out of the marriage licensing and registration business. It would mean giving communities the authority to write their own marriage rules and enforce them on couples. It's true, couples as part of a free religious association might have to accept some definition of marriage as a condition of membership in a religious community. This would mean letting Mormon marriages be governed by the Church of Latter-day Saints, Muslims by Quranic Sharia, Hasids by the Old Testament, and gays by their own church or non-religious equivalent. And all of this could be true up to a point. Presumably, no religious organization could be able to set up codes that run counter to the civil and criminal laws in some jurisdictions. So if it were part of the Sharia code to beat your wife for failure to wear a hijab at Costco, that rule would run afoul of laws against spousal abuse. Some Mormon codes might sanction polygamy, but the state might have other ideas. So again, it's not clear what sort of magical protection state marriages entail. So then what about the absence of state marriage? Every aspect of a couple's relationship would have to be contractually worked out from scratch in advance. Never mind that some people would see being able to work out the details of a contract governing their lives as a good thing. For one, it might prevent ugly divorce proceedings. There is no reason to think that all the functions normal, unmarried couples with children and property have in terms of recourse to default law would not still be available. Not only would simple legal templates for private marriage emerge, but states could establish default civil unions in the absence of couples pursuing private alternatives. So if people did not like some default option, as they might not now, there would be better incentives for couples to anticipate the eventualities of marital life. People would have to settle questions involving cohabitation, property, and children just as they do for retirement and for death. Millions of gay couples had to do this prior to the Supreme Court's ruling on marriage equality. Millions of unmarried couples do it today. The difference is that there would be a set of private marriage choices in the layer atop the default, just as people may opt for private arbitration in lieu of government courts. In the debate leading up to marriage equality, a sensible proposal had been that even if you don't like the idea of hammering out a detailed contract with your spouse-to-be, simply changing the name of the entire statutory regime to civil unions would have gone a long way putting towards the whole gay marriage debate to bed. The conservatives would have been able to say that in terms of their sacred traditions and cultural community, as an A, marriage is between one man and one woman. Gay couples would have to find a church or institution that would marry them under A. But everybody would have some equal legal provisions under the law to get all the benefits that accrue to people under B. You just have to call it a civil union. And that's fine as far as it goes. But full privatization because marriage is currently a crazy quilt of special privileges and goodies that everybody wants to access, unmarried people be damned. But marriage should confer neither special favors nor goodies from the state. We can quibble about who is to be at the bedside of a dying loved one. Beyond that, marriage, under definition B, is mostly about equal access to government-granted privileges. Not only does the idea that marriage is something public represent a failure of imagination with respect to robust common law, it also resembles arguments made against privatization in other areas, such as currency, education, and healthcare. Just because we can't always envision it doesn't make it impossible. So what are your thoughts? Should the government provide special treatment to married couples? If you like this video, hit that like button and consider subscribing. I talk about money and everything related to it, so don't miss out. And as always, take care of your money.